are in my podcast room and
We want to, I guess, introduce ourselves. Let's start with you.
My name is Madison. I'm from Michigan in the United States, and this year I'm living in Latvia and teaching English.
I see. What about you?
I am the new English teacher in Kaunata. Actually, my name is Jānis. I come from Rezekne. Well, that's enough for the short introductions, I guess, for now.
I mean, yeah, we have a lot to talk about.
Definitely.
yeah. And my name is Matis, and I'm from Lipuški. And how about you?
And I am Harry. I am from Jussi, a town a bit far from Rezekne. Otherwise, I'm a local. But now, I guess we should begin about our topic. What was the first time when you heard the word vaping in Latvia?
In Latvia?
Or how many times you have heard it? Something like that.
I don't hear it very often, but I do see it, especially when I'm in the bigger cities like Riga or Daugavpils or even Rezekne. I see people who are vaping, and it's quite common, I think.
It's quite common in your opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And how about you? What do you think?
Well, about vaping, honestly, the first time I've ever heard about it was online a couple of years ago, I guess. But for me, it's not as topical. I obviously see that it's more of an issue in Kaunata, and just like younger people generally do it. But for me, it's not as topical, I would say.
All right. Well, from what I understand, I mean, you don't see it often, right? But it's fairly common, isn't it?
Well, yeah, I would say so. It's gaining more popularity, you know. Before it was the cigarettes, and now it's the vapes, you know, the new replacement.
Yeah. And well.
let's go. Let's go next question.
Next question, yeah. Second question: do you hear it mostly on the internet or in school, for example? I mean, you kind of already answered that.
Yeah, somewhat, I would say.
Yeah. Well, honestly, what I think from my own opinion, I hear it, I see it and hear it more at the school rather than the internet. On the internet, I see more as, you know, just a thing that everyone does, right? But at the school, well, it's how could I say it? It's well, actually it's way more
visually
known.
see it.
We visually see it.
Online you can hear that it's a trendy thing, but in school you actually visually see
Yeah,
that
it's
happening.
way more noticeable. It affects you more in a way. And what do you think?
I think
Yeah.
the vaping and using the cigarettes or alcohol is so stupid idea who's go from children, from young people.
Yeah.
Because I don't understand why he started using these cigarettes or vapes. Yeah.
I mean, I see your point. Yeah, we really don't know the reason why. Why are they doing this? What's the reason? Yeah. And about another thing, since this is not a trend only in Latvia, how common is vaping, for example, in the United States? I know you're from the US, so I think you may know a bit about it.
I can definitely talk about what vaping is in the United States. I first heard about vaping when I was in high school, so about your age.
Right.
And a lot of my friends were starting to vape. It became very upward trend of teenagers vaping in the United States in about 2015 to 2017. And it was a huge problem in my school. It wasn't allowed, and it's not legal to sell vape products to people under the age of 21 in the United States.
Right.
But still, there were kids as young as 12 or 13 starting to vape in schools, and we really had to set rules, and people got in trouble for having vapes in school.
I see. But in comparison, what do you see? Do you see that in Latvia it's things about against vapes? Is it more enforced in Latvia or is it in US, in your opinion?
I'm not quite sure. I don't see vapes as often in the classrooms, but I'm also in the classroom a lot, and I don't see how students are in the bathrooms or outside of school. So I'm not sure if I can say that it's more enforced in the United States or in Latvia.
Right. Well, you know, in the classroom in Latvia, as I see it, right, it's, you know, in my opinion, students in Latvia have a bit more, what's the word for it? They have a tiny bit of more respect to the teacher than in the US. Because as you said, you did see vapors in the classroom, right? Well, I'm from Latvia, right? And I went to a Latvian school. I have never seen it, but yeah. And do you think that vaping can cause massive health issues to people someday? What do you both think?
Yanis, what
Well,
do you think?
well, vaping is the same thing as using cigarettes, you know. Maybe it's not as harmful as just like straight up smoking, but the effects are the same more or less. So obviously it is harmful for one's health. However, I've heard that youngsters justify it as, well, it's not really a big deal. It's just like almost like something like a candy, like because they have different types of tastes, you know, like berries and whatnot.
Right.
So yeah.
I mean, I did hear that there are many flavors of vapes.
Yeah. So the thing is, I feel like youngsters just don't research this enough, so they feel like it's harmless to me, it's whatever, I can do it, I'm not gonna get sick or anything. It's just their lack of understanding of what vaping actually is, what it means.
Right.
Yeah.
And your opinion is?
Yeah, you're basically inhaling chemicals that you're not supposed to inhale. So it's bad for your lungs and your heart. And that's only the effects on your physical health. I know a lot of my friends felt very anxious when they started vaping, a lot of worry and anxiety, but they couldn't stop vaping because they were addicted. And that was another cause of stress.
Wouldn't it be possible that because they are continuing to vaping because of stress, is that it's basically, from what I'm hearing, is that it's like a circle, right? You vape, you get stressed, and you want to vape from the stress, so you vape, and you get stressed from the vape, and it goes and goes and goes on.
Yeah, that's the cycle of addiction right there.
Yeah. Do you have anything to add to it?
I think this is the biggest problem is that children don't understand what's happening ago 10 or 20 years ago with him.
You mean in the future, yeah? Like
Yeah.
in 20, 30 years, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, what are going to be the health issues, ahead? Yeah, they don't look ahead, that's the thing, yeah.
And talking about the trend that follows of increase of vaping, do you think that vaping could possibly slow down someday and people would realize that the threat to their bodies from vaping? Do you possibly know about that, or?
Well, I don't really have a lot of opinions about that, honestly. You know, obviously vaping damages your
Right.
not just your immune system, your body, your health and even your mind. Because should I be the host? Should I just talk about stuff? I can talk about stuff. It's not hard, you know. You just talk.
Right. Let's then I guess continue about it. So, what was the question?
Like we already established that in the US, like how is it going on in the US, in Latvia?
I remember the question. I remember.
Yeah.
It was the question about whether or not will the trend of vaping die down over time.
Will it die out? That's interesting.
Will it die down? Because I mean, in my opinion, I think the younger generation will become smarter over time as they get older, and they will realize that that what they're doing is harmful, that it's not good for them.
Well, Harry, this is not actually so simple. It's not black and white, yeah? Because even the smoker or the drinker, he or she realizes that it's bad for them, but they still do it. It's not a choice, it's an addiction. It's completely different.
Right.
You do not control your addictions. They control you. That's why it's called an addiction.
Yeah, I mean, I guess most people would be like that, but there are, you know, outliers that would try their best to overcome it. They would seek every single way of help just to beat that addiction. There are people who know that this is bad for them, but like you said, yeah, it's an addiction. It's not like they can really stop without outside help.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's a big part, you know, outside help, as you said. Yeah, people around you, people that surround you, yeah.
I do think that there is, now that there's more research about how vaping affects people, that there is more outside help in terms of, especially in the United States, organizations that help teens and young people quit vaping, programs that kids can enroll in to get that support in stopping an addiction, because it's really hard to do that by yourself. So maybe people will have more access to that kind of outside support in the future, and that can slow down the vaping trend.
Yeah. But I would say that for that outside help, there would require a lot of investment from the school, from the government, and I guess also from the people. But over time, that we have to change the people's mindset and tell them that we have to invest our money and time into this program to help the kids who are battling this addiction. But yeah, I would say that, in my opinion, that from what I heard from both of you, is that vaping may continue as much as cigarettes, but they will kind of dwindle down in a way like cigarettes did, where, you know, you see less kids with cigarettes, right?
I'd argue that vapes have taken the place of cigarettes.
Yeah, definitely.
It's a lot easier to sneak it into school or work or a different public space.
It's trendy, it's not as smelly as well, it doesn't produce the same kind of smell.
Right.
So yeah, aroma is a big thing as well. Yeah.
About sneaking it in, I did hear about that. The kids usually got those vapes from stores, right? And they're like disguised as school supplies. And when the teacher isn't watching, they just pop a quick one, so the teacher doesn't see it.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to do that with a vape than it is with a cigarette, where you have to light it with a match or a lighter, and then it smells very
it
strongly.
produces a lot of smoke, yeah.
Right.
A little more noticeable in a classroom.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Right. And what about?
But let's start at the very beginning once again. Like, what are the causes? Why do children do it? What do you think, Harry? Like, what is the main cause?
The main cause of vaping, in my opinion, it's probably mental health and friends.
Friends, yes?
Yes.
So being influenced by other people is
Bas-
what you mean, yes?
Yeah, basically peer pressure. Picture this. You're in a friend group, right? The friend group discovers vapes. The almost everyone in the friend group, but you, have gotten their hands on vapes, and they meet their friend and tell his friend, "Bro, try this vape out. It's good for you."
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
it's like these types of like attempts at influencing others because one person thinks that it's awesome to do such a thing, and he cannot keep this idea to himself. He has to try to influence others to follow him.
Yeah.
He wants followers. He wants people that support him on his idea.
And also about the mental health part, there are quite a worrying amount of kids in families where I would say that they are not in very healthy mental state. I mean, we see a rise in depression and anxiety, and over time, those kids and teenagers they try to search ways how to cope with the stress that is brought upon them.
And nicotine is a drug.
Basically, yeah.
Definitely is, yeah. Yeah, the thing about the stress and anxiety, as you say, it's funny how, like I know my history teacher in secondary school used to say, that it's funny how people discovered that there are such things as anxiety and stress in the 21st century. Well, obviously they existed all the way back in history as well. It's just now we're like, oh, now we're mentally ill, now we're incapable, now we have these issues, those issues, and issues on top of issues,
Yeah,
It's funny.
it's
obviously
very funny, but in truth of all that, it's because we people are more connected because of internet,
Yeah.
and more people are speaking out about it. So really, this whole vaping addiction issue is more of a combination of mental health issues and peer pressure.
I actually have a question for you, Matis and Harry, you two. As you are, you're the
Right.
younger generation.
Of course.
You probably have more like connection with like these types of things, right? Like with vaping.
Right.
Maybe you have had some instances where somebody has offered you a vape or something like that, right?
Oh, plenty of times.
Maybe you both could try to talk about how are these experiences.
Have you ever offered vapes?
Okay, I understand you.
Yeah.
I have my story and how 2 years ago maybe I tried the web and
So how was it honestly? Like, was it like exhilarating? Was it good or bad for you? Just like, or was it felt poisonous or wrong to do it? What was the reason? Why didn't you continue?
in that day, my friend just say, okay,
So he asked you to try one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He asked, do you want to try? I said, okay.
Yeah, why not? Yeah.
Why not? Yeah. And I tried, and he said, do you maybe want to buy? Because he has 18 years old, and I said, okay, maybe.
Oh, not gonna lie, it's pretty wrong for an 18-year-old to offer it.
Buy
Yeah.
the web, and maybe it's something 1 month ago I sell because I say I don't need the web because what is the best? What is the good things? What I have from this web? And I say just for me I said it's just bad because you just buy the vape, buy the
Yeah, it's expensive.
food,
Exactly. Yeah, that's
yeah,
one
and,
of the things.
I just
it's
for me
expensive.
say I don't know. I know I just don't need this vape, and I sell. And in this moment I not vaping, and yeah, and I think this is
Yeah.
very good.
Yeah, you think you made the right choice, yeah?
Yeah.
Basically,
Awesome.
in your story, what you have told us is that you were smarter than that 18-year-old who was by a couple years older than you.
Yeah.
That says a lot. That also there's also there are parts of the younger generation that learn from the mistakes of the older generations. And
How about you, Harry?
well, about me is that ever since I came to the school, I've been offered a couple times vapes. It didn't matter where. It was either on the street, on the bus, in the school. But there was one time at the bus. I was going back home, right? I hopped on the bus, sat on my seat. Then came by one of the dudes you might recognize. Basically, he was our old ninth grade, our classmate.
He just give you to try, yeah?
No, he did way more than that. He sat next to me and said, "Hey, wanna try it?" I calmly told him, "No, I don't want it." And he then tried, "Come on, try it. It's good. It's really good for you." And I told him, "No, I don't want it." And then he tried to actually force me to try it. He tried to put it in my mouth and everything. I mean, I did resist. I did not even dare to try it, right? But after that situation, it left me angry about it, because why do you force your addiction onto me? Why do I have to suffer the same thing as you? Why do I have to?
Yeah, why do you even have to deal with this?
Yeah, pretty
in
much
these school
that.
premises, yeah, I know, it's awful. It's truly
Yeah.
awful.
And there were a couple more situations, but they were a lot more calmer and not as crazy as this one. I basically came from the store back to the school, right? And one of the dudes from 8th grade offered me a vape, right? I just told him, "Call me, I don't want your vape," and I walked away. He understood and doesn't ask me anymore
Yeah.
the vape.
Yeah. There's no right and wrong choices, but honestly, yeah, vaping's not the best one. Yeah.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
I agree.
Madison, how about you? Maybe you can tell your
Yeah.
experiences.
I have a story. I have a couple of friends in high school that got really into vaping, and I had one friend that say his name was Sam. He really wanted me to try it, and I kept saying, "No, I don't really want to start vaping." And I could see he was spending so much money on these vapes, and always had to try and leave the classroom to try and sneak a hit of the vape, and I could see that it just wasn't a very good, healthy habit. But one day I finally said, "Okay, fine, Sam, I'll try it." And I tried it, and it burned my throat, and I was like, "That's not even fun. It doesn't even feel good. It's not even an exciting thing." And I am almost, well, no, I'm not glad that I tried it, but I'm glad that I saw that it wasn't a good thing. That it wasn't something pleasurable and happy, and that I could see that my friend was really struggling, was paying all this money and spending all this time and all this worry for something that's not even that fun or cool.
Actually, I think I noticed a pattern a bit here, and I have made a theory. Basically, what we heard from our stories is that a couple times there were our friends or people that wanted us to try the vape, right, or try to force us. But in my opinion, I think they're doing it is because, well, they understand that vaping is villainized, right? It's seen as an evil and a bad thing, and they want to try to somehow make it normalized. They want to see it as, try to make it and influence vaping as a normal thing, and because if they see them vaping, the other people who don't vape, they think that they're bad people, and that basically they're actually then they're seen as lower class in a way, basically. But actually, it could possibly be a reason is that they just want to be seen as normal.
Mm-hmm.
Could that be a possibility?
Well, I think that's how peer pressure works a lot of times. You want to, we all have this desire to fit in and feel like we're connected to other people. We all want to be cool and popular and loved. And vaping can be one thing where it's like, oh, this is cool to do. I'm seen as connected and cool if I do it and other people do it. And I think we can try to bring people into our addictions to make us feel better about them.
Exactly,
You're
exactly.
right about that.
Yeah.
And we can start to join in on addictions because we think it's going to make us feel more connected or cool.
I guess you could call it peer pressure because, well, like you said, the vapors, they try to fit in with the other crowd. They don't want to be left out.
Yeah, and not just that, you know, like the general crowd as well tries to fit in this like group of vaping. You know, like with people, we like to group, you know, people
Group
into different
people,
kinds
yeah.
of, like, you know, one way is like hobbies, for example. Like we have similar hobbies, all of a sudden we have something to talk about, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, vaping is very similar. Of course, it's like, I would say, a negative habit or an addiction, but still, we both vape, we have something in common, right? We have something to talk about.
It works like a conversation starter in a way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, pretty much, I guess it works with any other addiction, right? You don't see often that large portion of people who are addicted to the substance, they tend to group to each other, and yeah, it's all peer pressure.
And I think the mainest problem is not as problem for people who vaping, but from companies. This is big money.
Yeah, it's business.
Oh, business, yeah.
Because the vapes is good smell. He's look nice. He's smile, and the yeah, and the best moment from the vapes is just for businessmen.
Talking about business, right?
Because
When
I mean it for
oh, okay. Basically, yeah, like you said, it's all business, right? And the businessmen will try to make you use that product. But anyway, we could try to solve, make a way how to solve this issue.
yeah. And I think we need a little bit. We need
Studio break, let's
go,
say.
Yeah, go to the finish.
So that's it for the day.
That's it for the day. Thank you guys for watching.
Thank you for being in the studio.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us as guests.